now May 11th, a good 3 weeks actually of trading. And when you look at that and you're saying, why are we just going sideways? What is happening with the market, right? It is a pretty big range for that rectangle right there, but there's not a large conclusive movement. Where did that bigger volume happen? That bigger volume happened when we were up here at the top of that box. So right now, the market is going sideways, in my opinion, on the SPY, not the majors. The majors are having big movement. QQQ up to 226. You can see we have gone up and we are getting close to the high where we were in the past before where we sold off. Once the chart catches up, we'll see that the Qs are right at the area that they were back in January before we had that initial sell-off. So we had a sell-off in January. It pulled back to the moving averages, and then we hit new highs. And the big guys really loaded up once we hit new highs. Again, everybody's thinking this market is going to crash, this market is going to crash. But the rationale is we are still following the trend up, and we are still seeing that these stocks are in the upward movement. Until they tell us that it is going down, there's no reason to short or get into that downward trend, right? You're never going to hit the absolute top, and you're never going to hit the absolute bottom. But when you pay attention to that big volume and you see where we are, the QQQ chart looks very different than the SPY. The SPY has been going sideways for a good 3 weeks. For that same 3-week period, we have a bit of a handle right here on the Qs, right? It came down to the 15 EMA, and then we curled back up and we're setting highs. We are hitting a resistance level. We might want to look for that 228.50 to be broken. That's going to be the bottom resistance from back in February before we pulled back. So if we get up there, that was where, excuse me, they being the big guys were selling, right? But look at what happened to the volume. We had so much volume down here that we would have to compete with that, right? So back in January, we had a little bit of volume. And then in February, we started to see that volume really ramp up when the market was going down, right? Right now, that volume's been dropping a little bit. The highest volume we've had in the past 2 weeks has been right around 220, right? So until we start breaking down below those levels, and still we break down that 220 mark right now, we are still fairly bullish overall. I do have the SPY holdings app. I noticed I checked them out today. They did shift around a little bit with Berkshire Hathaway having a fair amount of losses. They went ahead and they dropped down to 7th position for the SPY holdings. So when we look at Microsoft, we can see Microsoft doing very well, right? Microsoft is coming up. We broke the trend line. We did have some bigger movement on it. And you can see that we hit a support level from back in February. And right now we are above that support level, right? So you would think that that would have been resistance, but we broke above it. And we have a bit more volume as we're going up. Friday's trading day was a little bit more than Thursday's volume in an upward motion. We opened up at the 4 EMA today, and we have a nice engulfing bullish candle today. Of course, it is the middle of the day. They could still do whatever they want to do with this candlestick. It is the beginning of a new week as well. But for now, we're bullish, right? We could go on up and see a test of 187.30 on up to 188.50, and then we're reaching the all-time highs for Microsoft, right? When you think about it, this market, there are stocks that are reaching 52-week highs, right? It seems totally irrational, yet there are a lot of people trading now, and they are looking for those alpha stocks. Right now, this chart is saying, hey, this could have a major move to the upside, right? Everyone is needing computers. Everyone is needing that software, cloud computing, all of that comes into the picture. So it's not really a wonder that we do have this to the upside. We just had the SPY go green on the day. It was negative all day. When you start to have that divergence of the indexes, it makes you wonder why, right? Why are, QQQ and SPY up, and we have IWM and Dow Jones down? When it starts to sort of have that unevenness, that disagreement of all the indexes, it makes you really wonder what's going on. Why are they taking these stocks up, right? We are reaching an area where we might have a little bit of a pullback. It could come back and it could test this trend line right here, and it could bounce to the upside. When we look at Apple, Apple is rocking today, right? You guys see, I had it on my potential short list for today, but look at that. It opened up and it broke out, and we're up $3 from my potential bullish break level, right? So when you start to see all of that, it makes you wonder, why are they so high, right? Bottom line is, trade the charts, right? Everything is saying these charts are bullish. The outside world says, hey, catastrophe could potentially happen in the financial markets. But right now, the charts are bullish. So trade those charts, right? Amazon came back and it hit a trend line. And after hitting that trend line, what happened? It loaded up, and today we have a massive candle. We might be heading back up to that 2450 area again, and then testing the all-time highs for Amazon. Yes, what is the online retailer that people are going to? If you first think about going to go shopping, where are you going to go? Is it going to be that you're looking at Macy's online? No, you're probably going to go to Amazon. Potentially CVS for pharmacy, or online pharmacy website. If you're potentially looking for work, I mentioned this on Friday. We've got those people that might be unemployed. They might be looking for their gig work. And so Fiverr had great earnings, and it is a lower float with roughly 11 million in it, which those low float stocks tend to have massive runs to it. And this one might end up being like Virgin Galactic. This is an IPO. We're at all-time highs for this. There's clear sailing above, low float. The first resistance that we really have was the high of the upthrust candlestick from earnings. And if we break that, watch out. This could really go up fairly quickly, hit that $60 mark, $65. And then potentially a pullback to the averages and continue on up in that upward fashion. Let's go ahead and look at the list for today that I went ahead and built this morning. So I do build these lists every morning. And if you guys have any questions, go ahead and put them in the chat. If you are on Twitch, if you are on YouTube, if you're on Facebook too, go ahead, put those questions out there. I'm happy to answer them while I'm talking with you. So let's go ahead, and here's something interesting too. When we start looking at the financials, right? Everybody in their head is saying, hey, these financials might be going down because people are unemployed. They're not necessarily going to be able to pay off their debt. How are people living? A lot of people are living on credit right now. So those credit card companies are going to be looking good. We have XLF, which is the financials ETF, right? I did mention this on Friday. We are riding this 50 simple moving average. As of right now, today is that second day where we're just sort of hovering at it, right? And we haven't had a definitive move to the upside, to the downside. All of the averages are right together. and it could really have a break one way or the other. I'd say, hey, if we start to see a breakdown below 2130, 2120 area, there could be a potential move there. And if we go above 2260, then we might see a major rip in the markets, rips in the bank sectors going up. But for now, we're just sort of going sideways with it. We had a couple days that were higher, and then it pulled right back down to that support area of 2130, but it hasn't gone and proven a true direction, right? So just like the SPY, you can see that we have this area of really consolidation, right? Not a move one way or the other. So once that breaks, we will have a definitive move. When the financials finally move, I think there's going to be a good chance that we're going to see the S&P 500 move in that same direction. Go ahead and move hand in hand. But for now, we're in that stall. Hey, let's wait. Really a month of just going sideways. No big move as of yet. So stand on the sidelines, right? Wait for that chart to give you that big move. With this long, a month of just sitting there, there will be a big move coming. But we don't know which direction at this time, right? But we've had a month worth of placement. So we've got BABA right here. BABA, I had it on my list. 205, right? Look at that. Whoop, let's go ahead. It didn't adjust. All right, I had my levels up here, 205. For, hey, let's watch for this breakout. I love this little trick that we have here on TradingView. It will show me the highs and the lows for the past 10 candles. So I had 201.50 as my level to watch for breaking down, and 205. Sure enough, we broke 205, went on up, and a nice move to the upside. Not quite as nice as Apple, but you can see that even if something is down on the day, it could go ahead, fill that gap, move to the upside. It can go ahead and have that momentum. When the volume is behind it, and if there's a lot of shorts in it, they're going to get squeezed. Market, there's a lot of squeezing going on. And that can create fast moves to the upside as quick as we see the elevator down to the downside. So now it seems like we have more of those fast elevator moves, both to the upside and the downside. It's not the staircase up anymore. It's the short squeeze elevator up, and then that shorting drop with the stops getting hit elevator down, if that makes sense to you guys. So we got BABA. It had a nice little profit when it broke above, right? We have AMC. It was all speculation that Amazon was going to take them over today. So it came down, it hit the 20 simple moving average right at about 9:30, and then dropped down from there. This ginormous price action today was all about the news that Amazon was going to potentially take over AMC. And so, as the saying goes, sometimes, you know, it's a rumor, sell the news. We had Cody as well on the list today, and sure enough, had it up here with a breakdown of 550 right off the bat, dropped down, and it also had earnings and came down to 475. So you could have captured a nice 80-cent move, or roughly 15% on that one. We have USO. So USO, everyone is looking at oil, right? We start to have the economy slowly opening up. And USO was heavily hit at the end of the month last month because of the futures that they were holding. So they went ahead and reverse split USO. And as a result, you know, we're up at $21 now. But it is really going nowhere at the moment. When we look at the daily chart, it's looking a bit more bearish because we have this curl up, but look at all this. This is obviously from before the reverse split. But you can see we haven't broken above that 2180. right? When we look at the 2180 level, it has been resistance for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days, right? So again, monitor those levels, watch them. This has been there for the past week, just hovering. It hasn't had its major move yet. Maybe a bounce up to that 2350 area, but we could very well see this drop down and drop down quickly. Again, when the airlines are not flying, they're not using as much oil. When we don't have people going to work, there's not that many people that are out driving every single day, burning up that oil. We're in the middle of summer. People don't really fill up that much with oil for their houses. So looking at all the potential factors, you know, checking out, you can also go over here. Let's look at it really quickly. Let's go to equity clock. And this is a great one if you guys want to look at seasonality, right? It is a paid service, but I don't do the paid service. Let's see, we can go look over here at commodity futures. And I just look at it really quickly and say, hey, what is going on? I don't know why it's so large. We've got platinum, cotton, because I increased it. That's why, so you guys could see it. Silver, lumber, soybean. I think oil is on page 2. So let's check it out really quickly. Coffee. I don't know about everybody else. There's gold futures as well. What's going to happen, right? In May, we tend to gum out a little bit, and then up the end of the natural gas, cattle. We'll get it. Sugar, rice. There we go. We've got crude oil. So what tends to happen? Well, typically, we go exact opposite of what is happening with the market right now. I'll let the feed go ahead and catch up. But you can see, hey, in May, it tends to drop just a little bit. And then we tend to have a continuation on up until July 4th, really. And then it tends to plateau, and come October, we drop back down. Think about, a lot of people are out on road trips usually during the summer, starting off in May. Lots of people are traveling in their cars. Well, right now, not so much of that is happening, right? In fact, we've done just the opposite. That doesn't mean that we won't see a bit of a spike and a move to the upside like this coming in the upcoming months with the easing of social distancing. But for now, we don't have that normal consumption that's out there. So we're not going to have this same pattern. And this one is for 20 years. You can see it right here. So USO for the moment is trading sideways, and it doesn't have a definitive move. It could have that big move coming once it breaks out one direction or the other. And we also have Hertz. That Hertz had earnings as well. So let's go and break it down a little bit closer. So you can see, opened up a little bit higher, pulled back, could have had a quick little short on a low price stock down to roughly $3. 303 was the low for the day. But this one has that potential when we look at it on our daily chart. Maybe this is going to be one that Amazon buys. Who knows? Maybe they're going to start a rental car company, add everything. They'll become that monopoly. And you could say, all right, well, here we go. If we break above, this has that potential to come on up and go ahead and make a nice 30% move fairly quickly up to the 416 area, if we're able to do that. Let's check out CCL. So Carnival Cruise Lines. Again, the cruise lines have just been beaten up. I'm not planning a cruise. I don't think that I would want to with all of the virus out there. And how long are these cruise line companies going to be able to survive when they are not at max capacity? Same thing with the hotel sectors. You think about it, those hotel rooms, most of them are fairly empty, right? You have some people that are still traveling, a handful. I saw an image of the Philadelphia airport. It definitely has more travelers going through at the present time. But for the most part, there's no real vacation travel that I know of. I mean, maybe you guys are different, but we're still pretty much in lockdown up here in Canada. And so it doesn't seem like there's going to be that many people that are really booking their cruises. Seems like the feed is stuck on this for some reason. And so when you think about that, that's more of a valuation of the company, but the chart is showing, hey, we're riding our 20 simple moving average up. We have the 50 simple moving average that's just here coming up at 15.16. So we might have a potential move to the upside, but when it tested up here at 16, it just sold off from there. It would really need to break that 1480 area to have a nice move up there, and that's not that big of a move. The volume is dropping, and until people start really planning all their vacations, I think that Carnival, Royal Caribbean, all of those are going to be fairly heavily hit. And here we have United Airlines as well. So United Airlines has just been, every time it hit this 21 EMA, it's been selling off. One day up above, and it went ahead and pulled to the downside. And right now we are right on that 4 EMA, right? That's hovering right around there, that pink line. We could see a nice move if we do break this 24 level for today again, and we close below that. We might see a nice move all the way back down to the support area of 22.77. If that were to break down even further, we could be heading down to that 21.50, 21.25, 20 area and break it on down further. When we look at Apple, again, I showed you guys the Apple chart. I had it broken down on the daily. It did have a nice move to the upside. This is likely some of the shorts. It was at roughly 44% short for Friday's trading day. So some of those shorts might have been stubborn and said, no, I'm going to wait off and I'm going to go ahead and hold off until we break that resistance. And then finally, it went ahead and we have a nice bullish candle, just like Microsoft. I'm not fully trusting all of this price action, as it does seem like a squeeze. And with those parabolic squeezes, as quickly as they go up, many times they come right back down. These are major large cap stocks. However, those short squeezes can still happen on a large cap stock. Let's check out Tesla too. So Tesla was down on the day when it opened up, and it was down pretty big, right? We came all the way down. We were down at 785, down 35 points from close on Friday, which happened to be right at the 8 EMA. And now we are riding up. We've gone ahead and closed above that 4 EMA. Let's do a real quick trend line right here. Let's see, draw this right here to right here. And look at that. We hit that trend line and there was more selling right there. So if we were going to break to the upside, much like with the Apple and the Microsoft charts, I would say it does need to go ahead and break that trend line with strength and volume for it to go ahead and have a nice move. We could go ahead and test that 880 this week as well before we see a bit more pull down, but much like the Amazon chart, had that move right at earnings, came up, set a new high, pulled back to the 20 simple moving average, and then came on up, and now we're hitting another trend line. Last one on the chart to check out, Wells Fargo. So Wells Fargo was on the list to break down, had a bit of a sell-off today. We are close to that 4 EMA, but it did not, we have that buying power that has come into it right here. So watching to see if we're able to go ahead and break above 25.50, but right now it is following that trend to the downside. So if you guys have questions, you guys can always reach me at jane@cjanetrade.com. I forgot to put up my disclaimer slide today, but you guys can also reach me on Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitch now as well. Thank you all for watching, And please come back on Friday. We'll be doing it again, 12:45 on Friday. Have a great week ahead.
The risk of loss in trading commodity interests can be substantial. You should therefore carefully consider whether such trading is suitable for you in light of your financial condition, and considering whether to trade or to authorize someone else to trade for you. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results.
The Tocker app brings the powerful trading technology tools of the Tocker desktop platform into the hands of its users who are on the go. Tocker connects novice and advanced traders with industry leaders who are providing real-time trading content throughout market hours every single day. The Tocker app allows traders to follow and get real-time push notifications of trading leaders' trade ideas, all while on the go. Tocker leaders host interactive live trading rooms which provide all-day coverage of their trading ideas and methods, seamlessly with social chat for real-time feedback from the expert community of Tocker's powerful user base. Set up and/or subscribe to automated trading strategies to mimic the decisions made by trusted professionals automatically.